And good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Smudcast number 825. We're back with a narrative critique of Batman Arkham Asylum. This is part 2 from yesterday. We are 2/3 done the video, so this should be fairly quick and compared to our other videos. And it was just, we were having a great time. At least I was having a good time because every single thing he said we had a comment on, and it was either a critical thing that he was either off on, or he was wrong, or it was subjective, and we could provide evidence to otherwise. So there's lots of great criticisms to have here with the video in question. And I think I could summarize it saying it's a fanboy's take on what he'd like to see combined with his university first-year education influences. And he's putting his politics ahead of his fanboyism and meshing them around. So it's a bit of a mess to understand his interests and where he's coming from. But it is fun to take apart, and we all have some Batman fans here, and it's...
Has he even criticized the narrative of Arkham Asylum? I had to step away last time to help my family install some stovepipe, but...
Not much of the actual game in that time.
He spent longer criticizing the narrative of Arkham Knight in his video of Arkham Asylum.
He took a look at some of the side stories where, you know, some of the side characters say some stuff about their lives, but that's about it.
All right. Well,
they didn't complain about the decor of the asylum.
Either way, we have a lot to go over, and it's going to get even not messier, just more detailed, I think, as he goes on. He's got over the descriptions and the definitions of the words and all these postmodern terms he brought up for whatever reason. So hopefully we'll get to some sort of thesis statement, because we're going backwards here, I guess. It is dialectic. So yeah, we're at 21 minutes so far. We're going to get to 32 very quickly. Here we go.
To the game, in the third Scarecrow hallucination, the roles are reversed. Batman is now the patient being sent to Arkham, and the villains are the doctors. After being shot by Joker, Batman digs himself out of his own grave. In this first calm area, you can find 4 versions of Batman. All of them have become delusional. The deepest aspect of this game's main story is the heavy implication that Batman fears becoming a patient at the asylum. Clearly, he believes there is some capacity at which he could lose his mind. His brutal abuse of those at the asylum, his agitation and impatience towards villains, and his flat bullshit.
His brutal abuse of the patients.
They mean the ones that are attacking and trying to kill him?
He doesn't abuse the patients.
He doesn't work there.
No, it's not even that, but he doesn't abuse the patients.
Yeah, like we said yesterday, all of those interactions are self-defense at most.
It's not even that. How can he abuse a 12-foot crocodile man?
That
How
too.
can he abuse... This is like what Smud says earlier. This is clearly his politics talking instead of his cognitive ability to talk.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
It's like preempting what he's trying. Like, we all know Batman is violent with these guys to capture them, but he's saying, oh, he's abusing them as a patient. It's like, no, he's not abusing the patients. He's abusing, or he's defending himself against them to capture them because they're criminals. They've done something wrong in public, and now he's captured them, and now they're being, whatever, through trial, they're now being sent to the asylum, and now he's like, well, he abused them, and you're like, no, there was no abuse.
Yeah, most of them are, to repeat the point, most of them are Joker's crew that got moved to the asylum from Blackgate.
And this crew aren't even crazy because they were not in an asylum. They were
Exactly.
in Black.
They were just transferred over because of the accident at Blackgate.
They're just a bunch of gangers.
Exactly. So there's no excuse there.
To murder him.
Yes.
As well as several others.
The closest to an argument there could be is, again, the mental patients in the isolation chamber, and even then, Joker and Harley sick them on you on purpose.
And they're attacking you, and he's just knocking them off and putting them out.
Exactly. Just tripping them onto the ground and incapacitating. So no abuse. It's not abuse in any way.
So we can hear the whole sentence, because obviously I cut.
He said he fears becoming a patient of Arkham, and yeah, he kind of does. That's the idea of what they're showing there, but
No, that started the point. But what I really want to get to is his reasoning, which is his clear abuse, and then he says something else. He's about to say something else, and you put in the whole context. It's so clear that this is this is definitely his political ideology wearing the skin suit of critique. This video now, I think he realised no one would be interested in what he had to say, and so he's used Batman Arkham Asylum as some sort of cover so he can get out what he wants to say against the system.
He hasn't really criticized anything. You can't say this is a narrative critique if you're just analyzing it.
It's not even a narrative. It's not even a narrative critique. It's here's things I don't like about Western capitalist societies. But I'll use the cover of Batman Arkham Asylum to complain about it because, like you say,
it's popular game.
Yeah, he's not spoken about.
Yeah, popular game, and also because 15th anniversary.
Yeah, he's not spoken about the actual narrative of the game, beyond little snippets of stuff
Side
that gets
stories.
quick. Yeah, but it gets quickly forgotten about. And like with this, he's now mentioned the Scarecrow section, and this Scarecrow section happens quite a bit into the game. So we're skipping.
He kind of has a point where Batman fears becoming a patient of the asylum. Yeah, that's true. He's mentally unhinged. He's emotionally unstable.
Yeah.
He's disturbed.
Yeah,
But
this last one happens right before you go into the sewers to get the Titan antibodies.
there's also the fact that the whole point of the Scarecrow fear gas segment is to just be a drugged out, trippy, weird segment.
Yeah.
Doesn't
Wait,
really
we
have
could just
much
get-
narrative explanation. It's just meant to be weird.
It's a way for the devs to put in a fake out as well, like one of those fake outs that I think originated with Eternal Darkness on GameCube.
I think so.
It was inspired. It was inspired by Eternal Darkness, where it's like you're going through the first area of the game again, and the game, well, quote unquote, freaks out and simulates a crash.
It not only simulates a crash, it simulates artifacting on the screen like your RAM is eating itself.
Yeah, that too, and then it puts you at the start of the game with everything messed up, and it's like, what's going on here? It's supposed to, like the threads point is that it's supposed to be the big fake out near the end of the game that's supposed to catch you off guard, which
And
nowadays
he's
doesn't
on the
work.
journey. Use the middle
Actually-
stick to dodge. Press the J button to skip the dialogue or something like that.
Or either it was move the middle stick
Push
to
the middle
dodge.
thumbstick.
Middle
I
thumbstick.
know
or-
there's a mention of a J button on the controller.
No. I was gonna say, or also if you're playing on, well, the J. Actually, that's what they replaced the skip button for the cutscene with. But
Yeah, press the J to skip.
also remember on mouse and keyboard. Just to mention this one, instead of middle stick on keyboard and mouse, it's tilt the mouse.
That's clever.
But yeah, this is just part of this is just an extension of what the rest of the game was already doing. Let alone the fact that this is the third and final one near the end of the game.
Well, in regards to his commentary, he was referring to Batman being violent with the inmates, and as you mentioned, this is where Joker and Harley releases them on Batman, and Batman is simply defending himself as he navigates through the asylum.
By this point in the game, they've already been released. This is technically the third act of the game when the Scarecrow sequence happens. They get the mental patients get released around the second act. But it still applies. But the argument still applies, though.
I think it's on the second one. You can notice his fear gas coming in through the vents.
Yeah, when you right after you destroy the written down Titan formula in the library.
All right, let's continue.
Anyway, let's keep going with this video because I want to hear his point in full.
Yeah, let's go.
Capacity, he could lose his mind. His brutal abuse of those at the asylum, his agitation and impatience towards villains, and his flat bullshit tone he puts on in front of everyone is very like
a flat bullshit
Okay,
tone.
that's just Kevin Conroy's line delivery in Arkham Asylum.
Yeah.
I've pointed out that it's kind of stiff. It's far more natural in City and Night.
No, that's a very personal attack there. With stuff, the use of the word bullshit is a very very personal there.
Yeah, but I will say that
and also
Batman's line
that's-
delivery isn't great in the first game, but it's
Well, that's beside the point.
That is besides the point. It gets better in the second and third installments.
Yeah,
No,
'cause
well,
Batman,
Part of it
Batman
is
is
that
a
is
very stoic character.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
his
but-
natural. That's his neutral That's its natural emotional
Yeah,
state.
but
His
you
neutral
would,
state.
you would not describe someone's tone as bullshit. That doesn't make sense. If you're talking
It's not
about,
bullshit. That's just how he is.
Yeah, but you can't
No,
say
no.
Steve is
No,
stoic,
he's-
therefore he's bullshitting us. It's like, no,
That's not how
Yeah,
tone of
the-
voice works. Like, we can complain that the line delivery in the first game from Kevin Conroy is kind of stiff,
But that's about it.
that's about it.
There is generally an attack on stoicism from people like this.
Yeah, but the thing is, everything he's just said there was very. I think that's the only time I've heard like venom in this guy's voice with stuff.
Not
Because
to mention, he's complaining about stoicism while he's having a very flat, stoic tone in his voice.
it's not just that. It's a very personal thing there. Like his brutal abuse of the patients, his mistreatment of the criminals, and his bullshit like demeanor in front of people. And it's like that slowly descended into a personal attack on the character, and that's not a critique. And this isn't a critique anymore of it. It's a personal attack now. And this is why the use of the word bullshit. This is why I bring it up as the use of the word bullshit isn't a critical word. It's not something you use to critique something. That's something used to insult something.
Whenever you say somebody's bullshitting, they're lying. It's a way of saying
Yeah.
falsehood. They're lying to you.
Yeah, but it's
Like
not
that-
it's not a noun. He's using an adjective. This is the problem.
For example, his statement was bullshit.
Do you think it's a defense mechanism because
Well,
he might
honestly-
because he might identify with the villains?
Honestly, I think he poorly worded it, and no one can say exactly what he's trying to say because this is his third point in a paragraph. So he's trying to round it off. He's trying to say, well, there's this, and there's this dumb thing with the acting, and you're like, what does that have to do with anything? Conroy's doing a fine job. Batman has always been stoic, and now we're in a dreamlike sequence. So what do you want him to be, like, angry? You want him to be emotional? Like, why? You have to explain why it's bullshit or why this is a bad tone for Batman, because Batman has always been stoic, and when he gets angry, it's usually because something's really serious and personal, and that very rarely happens. So something is off here, and this is where I think Hawk is correct, that he's getting personal for no reason, because we can't make sense of this word. All right, we're at 22 minutes.
Yep.
Him realizing how close he is to being just like them. This explanation takes Bruce from being a complete sociopath to a tragic, sad abuser with lots of self-hatred.
Sociopath?
Batman in this game
Did he just call Batman a sociopath?
Oh god.
You've missed the point of him calling him a sad abuser.
Nah, it's
I'm numb
is
to that.
just a
A
little bit more egregious
sociopath.
than the other one.
Batman
Yeah.
genuinely cares about his villain, his rogues gallery. That's why he doesn't kill. He believes they can redeem themselves. He believes they can be rehabilitated.
Heart of ice.
He has true compassion. That's not the notion of a sociopath. That's the polar fucking opposite.
The big example you can pull out immediately. Heart of ice.
Yeah.
Which even the Arkham series itself does adapt, and it adapts it pretty well.
Was that
Very
the
well,
second
very
game or in the
That was
DLC
in-
of Arkham Knight
Or Origins DLC.
Origins?
So, the point that I'm going to bring up is this guy sees Batman solely as an abuser towards the criminals and everything like that. And it's like we said before, we're now descending into where his political ideology is now controlling the script. This is no longer a critique of the narrative and everything like that. This is a critique of the fact that, to him, the fact that Batman's a billionaire vigilante who stops crime goes against his political ideology. So now it's personal and he doesn't like the character. Which is why I said at the start of the last stream with stuff. This is just a political lecture this kid wanted to write. He realised he couldn't do it just on its own, so he's brought Arkham Asylum in as a skin suit to attract people to actually watch the video. And I can bet right now we're going to get into some really random, strange political bullshit soon.
I'm expecting some psych terms that he just read about once and thought, oh, this is a good use to describe Batman. You're like, okay, sure. So no, he's really laying it on, and I wanted to do a second part because I knew something like this. He was going to start describing things. We're going to be like, no, sir, slow down.
I know I always make the jokes about Whisp, which brings up all the stuff, but it is becoming so common with especially videos that we cover that they start off in like this sort of fake critique and everything like that. You think, oh, it's going to be a normal video, and then they just descend into this strange political rants and stuff, and it becomes so personal to them, and you're just like, okay, so we weren't actually talking about the piece of media or the entertainment that you were meant to be covering. What we're all just students in a university lecture listening to our professor go off about 20th century political ideologies, and you're like, well, that's no point. Like, we're Batman fans. We've seen, played, and watched movies, games, TV shows. We understand how the character is. This kid has gone, well, I like communism. So anyway, capitalism bad. Okay, what an original thought. And Bruce Wayne, Batman, is an abuser because he punches the Joker. And you're like, right? And it's like, well, because my political ideology sees that as bad, so now this game is bad.
Weird how the socialists.
Like, okay.
It was weird how the socialists relate to the sociopathic clown who wants to kill everyone.
It's because deep down, it's what their personality connects to, and it's what if they had with their fantasy, they'd be like the criminals. But this guy's clearly politically motivated to do these videos, and unfortunately, what started off as what could have been an interesting critique has just descended into bare basic political lecture that we've heard 100 times before.
All right.
Let's just carry on listening to the madness.
Is a horrible person, and the game does try to tell you this, but
Did he just call Batman a horrible person?
Yes, he did.
Let me try this
The
again.
game tells you this? How?
to a tragic, sad abuser with lots of self-hatred. Batman in this game is a horrible person.
All right, I gotta write all this down. This is so crazy.
Also write down, he also said that the game tries to tell you this as well, apparently.
So personal. This is so personal towards it. It's like at no point does the game show Batman's a horrible person. And we're literally watching the Joker as a giant Titan mutated monster. It's with the same political ideologies.
Yeah, it's like the hero's going through the belly of the beast, and they're showing off his fears and things that get to him because of the toxin. He's like, well, here, Batman's a horrible person. You're like, or it's a giant illusion. and his subconscious is getting the better of him. Like, there's lots of things going on here. It's a weird take. Yeah.
It's not a weird take when you realise that in his political ideology, the idea of Batman, Batman is the enemy because Bruce Wayne is rich, and that's it. Because he's now classed as enemy, he has to hate. He has to project all the things that he thinks an enemy would have onto Batman. So Batman stops crime, he's got money, so he must be bad, he must be a sad abuser, he must be all these horrible things. And it's like, there's no evidence of this at all.
Yeah.
And then it's just, my headcanon. It's like, congratulations.
Even if it wasn't a fear toxin, if it was just a dream, you're like, okay, well, we're just seeing an illusion. It doesn't matter if it's influenced negatively or positively. It's not real. And that's great. You could do all kinds of fun stuff in dreamscapes and in dreams in general and stories. And just because it's visual doesn't mean it's real. So I like that. We can do fun stuff with that in stories, but don't mean it's literally what's happening on the screen is literally what the truth is. That's not what you use dreamscapes for.
Yeah, it's like, I don't believe that Commander Shepard was actually chasing a small child through a forest. That it was a dream.
Oh God! Don't bring up that. Oh
No.
Yeah, no, but dreamscapes, it can be anything, and that's why they're dreams. So to take it literally, you've got to be like, right. Clearly, you projected something onto this.
The technique is used not to be taken literally, exactly, and that's why we have them. So it's like a break, and you're like, oh, this is what's going through his head. That's interesting. I'm sure we can use a Freudian lens or a Jungian lens or any kind of lens and say, what does that mean? We'll ask a psychiatrist. That'd be great. Fun little cool thing. And then we'll call it a day. And that's it. Not Batman is actually the villain. You're like, what?
No. There's an old saying about the fact that it's only good people who worry about being bad. So the fact that Batman's here is worrying about if he slips up or does anything bad, what could happen. It shows that he's fundamentally a good person, because a bad person doesn't care about being bad.
Yeah.
And so him thinking, if I slip up and anything, I'll end up here. And he's worried about it because he's worried about turning evil.
And when he combined the two, like called him a sociopath and a sad abuser, I'm sure he's sad in some capacity. I'm sure he's thinking about, how hard should I hit this guy next time? I'm sure that happens to every martial artist who hits someone. He's like, oh, did I do too much? Because they don't want to hurt people. Believe it or not, martial artists are pretty gentle people because they know they can kill. So they got to be careful. And Batman is this guy who has like 300 different ways to snap your neck. And he's got to go, okay, I'm better than this. I don't kill. And he does it time and time again to figure out what's the best way to take someone down. And he just sort of slammed those two. Oh, well, he's sad and he abuses people, which is self-defense. He must be a sociopath. You're like, no.
Bruce Wayne is literally one of the most compassionate people in all of DC.
I think it's only like the Flash who's more compassionate than Batman.
Yeah. Flash will actually try to talk his villains down, and he has even succeeded in doing so a few times.
Yeah, the premise with Batman is he will do whatever it takes. He will never stop. He is the definitive detective who keeps going. And that's when we see the stories with Darkseid and all those other crazy things that are bigger than him, bigger than Gotham, because he only cares about Gotham City and protecting it. But when he's with the JLA, he does big things that no one else is like, oh my God, it's Batman. Oh my God, he's blowing up a building. Like, no one would think of doing that because he's that extreme, but he doesn't want to hurt anyone, except when it comes to the big godlike characters. He has to.
Like Darkseid's the one exception to his no-kill rule.
He's got to up his game a bit, yeah.
Doomsday as well, isn't it? As well, he's another exception.
Well, Doomsday's an inhuman super weapon,
stay
so
down.
that doesn't. Yeah, Doomsday's an inhuman super weapon. That doesn't really count.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is he also shows compassion for like robots and stuff, and they can be classed as just machines. So
all right.
it's
Let's keep going. We're at 2217.
game does try to tell you this, but for some reason this theming could not be the center of the plot. It had to be hidden away in little details.
Themes are not the centers of plot. They can be, but that's not, you don't have to use them that way. So, interesting, but, you know.
And optional content. In complete opposition to this character beat, probably the most interesting story element you could find. The game ends in a very modernist way, with zero repercussions for the main character. Joker is attempting to make the story about something more, about the abuse of the asylum and Batman's role in it, but
Did you see Joker's a giant mutated monster, right?
No, he's not. He's not trying to do it about the abuse. Good lord, no. You are literally one of the stupidest people ever.
Do you understand that Joker wants to turn other people into giant mutated monsters, right? And cause havoc in Gotham. He doesn't understand that Joker just wants to cause as much chaos as possible, right?
The Joker actually says out loud that his plan was to make Batman fight him as a giant mutant monster on the roof of Arkham.
Yeah, he wanted to make Batman the Titan.
So that it could be broadcast and it can make Batman look ridiculous.
He also plans to unleash his goons that are injected with Titan onto the populace and kill loads and loads of people. This guy honestly sees Joker as some sort of communist revolutionary, and it's this guy's stupid. This guy has no fucking. This guy is a pure political ideologue. He's got nothing. He's got nothing of substance anymore. This is ridiculous. The Joker tries to make a story about the injustices of the asylum. No, he does not.
Joker's
he kills
fucking crazy
people.
I also like the fact that he said the game tells you that Batman is the bad guy, and then in the next breath he says, but the game actually doesn't tell you that. You know, it's hidden away. So which is it, man? You know, like, it's like, come on.
His head's so high up his fucking arse. He thinks the Joker's the good guy.
Yeah, it's.
Interesting. Okay.
I told you.
How can you take this seriously? When he goes, the Joker tries to make the story about the injustices of the asylum system. I'm like, no, he doesn't. He literally murders loads of people. He kills tons of people. He just took over the asylum for the shits and giggles, and wants to rain chaos on everybody. He's not fucking Che Guevara or fucking Fidel Castro or whatever. What an idiot! I can't talk.
All right.
Thank God.
Our hero wants none of it. Batman solves the problem once again with his fists, beating Joker and his crew into submission. A cheerful soundtrack plays and Batman flies off into the moonlit sky.
Actually, no, he's going to the second National Bank of Gotham because Two-Face is robbing it. That's literally why he leaves. There's a line over the radio, so no, he doesn't just ride off into the moonlit sky. Did you play the game? Did you actually even play the game?
I don't think he did.
There's no way he did.
Also, even if he did, the ideology is more important.
How else were we supposed to beat the Titan-infused Joker? What? Send an angry Whisper campaign to him? Whisper charge, tip it up to him and knock him unconscious with like a teddy bear or something? What did this guy want? Did this guy just want, like, Karl Marx sat in a chair with a Batman mask on, reading all the points of communism, and be like, "Yeah, this is the game that I wanted." Because what everything about this, he does not want a Batman game. He thinks punching's bad.
I know.
All right.
What else can you say about it? He beats the Joker into submission. Yeah, Joker's a Titan monster. Who wants to kill him? Anyway.
All right.
All of this, the discussion of Rocksteady's broader issue of unfocused storytelling, the discussion of problematic depictions, the role of reference material, and the inklings of postmodernist themes in the game, it all builds into my metamodernist thinking about this.
You still haven't described what metamodernism is.
Well, he did. He described the term, but I don't know what all those things have to do with metamodernism, because metamodernism refers to this positive outlook amidst all the postmodernism. So it's like, okay, fine. But
So it's basically what he refers to as modernism. But it's new. Therefore it's different.
I'm not sure exactly, because modernism, I guess, refers to classical forms of storytelling with good and bad and themes and the hero doing good things and blah blah blah. I thought that was the opposite of classical storytelling, but okay, whatever. Then we have postmodernism, where it says, no, not everything is rosy, everything is bleak, everything is whatever it wants to be, and that's like, fine. And then we have metamodernism, where actually, no, in the midst of bleak, there's some good. There's this good theme or a good idea or a good ethic or something, and you're like, all right, fair. So how is all this stuff that he thinks were done poorly focus on a meta-modern narrative or have a meta-modern message or a...
I have no idea.
I don't know, yeah.
You know his issue is, don't you? This story wasn't communist enough for me. This story wasn't just my entire political ideology plastered onto the screen for 30 hours.
It's like he's doing a materialist dialectic where he's synthesizing, like he's going through the synthesis backwards, which is fine. You could do it forwards or backwards. I don't really care. It's what is your premise then? Because if we're going from the conclusion that this is this is being interpreted incorrectly, and we come to the premise backwards that it's really a meta-modernist take, or what it should be, at least I think is what he's trying to say, is it should be this, then it's like, okay, how are all these elements building toward, like going backwards toward that? I didn't see that. All I heard was he didn't like it too much with these elements of like why is the hospital dirty and all these other weird things. You're like, okay, yeah, it could be more modern, it could be more realistic, sure. But he didn't explain why. It was just, if this was realistic, it wouldn't do it this way. You're like, you're right. It's a comic book style. It's based off another piece of work, and you showed it, and you're like, great, Morrison work, that's fine. Was that relevant to the game, to the developers? A little bit, sure.
But if it was more realistic, there wouldn't be a man dressed up in a Batman suit.
Yeah, I don't.
Fighting crime.
Yeah, he might have got into the various main public understandings of Batman, like the 70s golden.
Be a half and half crocodile.
Well, just the ones that he would be like, okay, here's Batman in the Gestalt, in the common understanding of the mythos, right? And you got Adam West version of Batman. You got the 98 or the 89 Batman. You got all these versions, and then this game uses an amalgam of those. Like there's all these themes, there's all these ideas, and Scarecrow's in there, so it's a little more modern than the other ones. He could have said, well, this doesn't work too well because it's an amalgam, as opposed to using a pure version of Arkham or a dark like a PG 15 or maybe an NR-17 or something like that, like really dark. It's like, it doesn't really work. All the themes don't hit very well. And and he thought it should have had these other themes. Like, oh, I see what you're saying. But he's just doing his own headcanon. He's just saying, I prefer this. And now he's saying it's a meta narrative, or a meta modern thing. And you're like, okay, how did we get here? I'm a bit lost. So anyway, I want to keep going.
Difficult task, reviving DC in the video game space. To do this, they decided to adapt a disturbing, dark, and uncomfortable book, one that people could take a little bit seriously. They decided they were going to make a game about the mentally insane and make the main character borderline mentally ill. WB somehow accepted this idea, but in the end, the game was clearly toned down. Rocksteady had the opportunity to hit on very personal concepts in a rising medium. A medium in which we've already received very serious, groundbreaking narrative stories, but either due to their own intuition or that of WB, they softened their strike. And it kind of makes me think, is some of the stuff that is in Arkham Knight, the serious rated M stuff that they want to put in the game, was that leftovers from stuff they couldn't implement in Batman Arkham Asylum? Right now, Arkham Asylum has some sensitive topics within it based on a book with highly sensitive topics as well. The book and the game are likely seen by some honest people as problematic depiction of mental
Serious
illness.
House on Serious
But
Earth.
despite that, Arkham Asylum is about something real. Its depictions, despite flying over some people's heads, still raise significant questions in others. Sure, it has its modernist motifs, it has the cinematic shots of Batman punching criminals, black versus white, but the game still provides symbols and visuals that make the audience wonder, even if the ultimate message was never properly constructed. You don't come out of the spirit of Arkham Quest talking about how fun it was.
Okay, he just had 5 different ideas in this one paragraph. I'm very lost what he's trying to say.
Yeah, I don't have a clue what he was on about then.
I did not absorb any of that.
It was a word salad of epic proportions.
What's the joke? Smooth brain, all words glide right off. I don't understand. I did not understand a word he just fucking said. Nothing made sense there.
He started off saying that the game's too dark, but Rocksteady wasn't dark enough. And you're like, right. And because it didn't question the treatment of mental patients more, it's bad. And where the stuff that was dark just left over from the adaptation of the book, which I'm assuming is A Serious House on a Serious Earth. And then he just went on to, but players didn't care about it because it's just black versus white. Blah 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 blah, and I sort of drifted off a little bit after that because there were so many words.
Yeah, no, he did not focus on a singular idea, and he talked about Arkham Knight, and did they just take ideas that were left over? I'm like, maybe. What's your point? Focus. Where are we going? And then he went into other things. So yeah, I
just imagine you Smud just clicking in front of him, going, hey, the line, the focus here. Not over there, over here.
Putting my hands against his temples and just go back.
Yeah. You see the police with someone who's they think's drink driving, and they got that line.
Yeah.
And they got walk straight. You like that? Now just there's your line of your narrative. Stay to it. And this guy's fucking skipping in a field somewhere.
Yeah. And he's repeating himself. He already talked about the book. He already talked about the other games, and he's just rambling. And it's not helping. Anyway, 25 minutes.
Think about how horrific the crap you just listened to was. You wonder if
Think about how horrific the crap I'm listening to right now is.
Let me just rewind that. Oh, God, that was perfect.
shots of Batman punching criminals, black versus white, but the game still provides symbols and visuals that make the audience wonder, even if the ultimate message was never properly constructed. You don't come out of the spirit of Arkham Quest talking about how fun it was. No, you think about how horrific the crap you just listened to was. You wonder if this is something real people believe. You wonder about who's right in that story. You wonder if Amadeus Arkham was justified or if he was a criminal. What would you do if your wife and daughter were murdered by your own patient, one you've dedicated years to curing? It makes you wonder whether some people simply cannot be fixed, like the Joker, like maybe Batman. Even though the story is highly exaggerated, highly dramatized, it still begs a question as opposed to begging none at all.
Wait, stop. So melodrama can't ask questions because it's high drama? Like, what are you talking about? Of course you can.
Yeah, that's kind of the whole conflict of Batman, where even he questions, are there some people that just can't be fixed? You know, like the Joker or Victor Zsasz.
Yeah, it's the same with Star Wars, with realizing the bad guy's your dad. Like, oh, that's melodramatic. You can't. I mean, the narrative explains it. This is it. Oh my God, Luke is suffering. It doesn't dwell on it, but it's a reality. So, like, why can't you have drama and melodrama or ethics and morals? Like, what's the problem? What's going on? And this begging, he did that in the beginning, the begging the question thing, and he did the proper misuse of the term, or the improper.
Is he seriously criticizing the fact that Batman won't kill the people that can't be fixed?
He's saying he can't be fixed either, and I'm just like, so what? That's fine. That's not the focus.
I have people like Batman who I can't fix, than people like the Joker who I can't fix.
With Batman, it's a compulsion. In fact, they actually explored this in Batman Hush. He tries to save Riddler after everything he had done, and Catwoman calls him out for it. You can't help yourself. It's a compulsion. This is just what you are. You can't be helped.
Yeah, okay.
Batman Arkham Asylum was my first real look into Batman lore, and it would take me many years to ask myself these questions. The game simply started out as a fun yet creepy game to explore, but eventually it became a basis for how I understood Batman. As I grew older, I began to become more conscious of the real world and its politics.
Okay.
The real world.
I went to university and got brainwashed by my lecturers.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. The real world. Oh, the real world. Oh, yeah, that place. Okay.
Yeah, but the real world, inside the university grounds. What do you mean I've never spoken to a minority? I love them. They clean my toilets.
Started to act and recognize the politics within Batman's stories. I started to see Batman's relevance, how his stories were an outlet to...
So this is basically the feminist reading the feminist critique of everything and going, wow, there's masculinity controlling women everywhere. And you're like, oh, no.
Hey, remember that time trolls took Mein Kampf and replaced Jew with men, and feminists loved it?
Oh, yeah.
Anybody remember, though, that wasn't really a troll. That was a social experiment. But anybody remember that? Kind of funny looking back on it.
Yeah, we've already dealt, like, we know he's delved, maybe he doesn't know, he's delved into the world of socialism a bit too much, and he's just not aware of it. Like, he's in the maze, and he's like, oh, I've looked at the real world and politics, and you're like,
I don't think he's in a maze. I think he's just stuck in his own little bubble.
This guy thinks he's the first person to say this, and we're all here going like, yeah, sure you are, buddy, as we turn to like the 100 corpses behind us of the same people. And you're like, oh, yes, communism.
I don't have a firearm to cock to make a joke about that, so yeah.
Yeah, corporate greed, masculinity bad, patriarchy bad. Like, we just list a bunch of things. You'd be like, oh, yeah.
Strong women good.
Heterosexuality bad.
I don't know. There's so much.
Christianity bad.
Colonization, like all these weird, crazy Marxist ideas. You're like, all right, yeah.
It's kind of funny how Marxists complain about colonization, and they're the ones that conquered half of Europe. Do I need to point out the hypocrisy in that?
No, I just find it funny that even at the age of 30, I've now heard all this shit so often that I could understand why my dad is the way he is.
Yeah, 29, saying the same thing.
The poorest in society having property or owning themselves, not being slaves. Bad.
That was a weird take. He talked about the gentrification of one of those sectors of Gotham. You're like, okay, dude, this is like a footnote in the story. It's not a plot point. It's not it's just background information.
And Batman doesn't even have anything to do with that.
Yeah, it's a weird flex there on the lore. I don't know why he brought that up, but yeah. Anyway, we are at 26.
And hatred that existed in the real world. How comic writers were trying to communicate beyond just pedantic violence beneath the surface. Eventually, I came to question whether Batman himself was a good person.
Yours, buddy. He's pedantic violence.
I want to know.
Just rewind a little.
Yeah.
I don't think he knows what the word pedantic means.
I want to know what writers he's referring to, because there's hundreds of Batman comic book writers over the years, and specifically to this game, there's probably just a few influences, so I don't think there were that many. But
I've read Alan Moore.
I'm going to be a bit pedantic here. Pedantic means you get angry when people use words improperly, like the word pedantic.
Yeah, just rewind. I want to hear about thing in
People who are
full.
pedantic really hate irony because the use of one's words to define something other than their literal intention. Someone who's pedantic only uses words for their literal intention.
I'm actually kind of curious. What is pedantic surface level violence? I'm kind of curious. What does that mean?
They're unrelated things.
It doesn't mean anything.
It means nothing because pedantic means you just want words to be used properly. It has nothing to do with violence.
Well, it's not
violence when you want violence to be
just
used properly.
Well, no, this is when someone who goes to university uses words excessively or uses two forms of descriptors or two modifiers to a noun.
I use words I don't understand to make myself sound more photosynthesis.
Okay. All right.
How we're trying to communicate beyond just pedantic violence beneath the surface.
Pedantic violence beneath the surface. What is that? What is that?
It hurts.
That's not English.
The word means.
I gotta write that down. That's incredible.
Batman, if you're gonna beat someone up and knock them out, make sure you do it right.
I think he means obsessive.
No, I think he means
maybe give him the
he
benefit
thinks
of the
pedantic
doubt.
means
Maybe spoke and used the wrong word.
Yeah, I think he thinks pedantic means slow and basic.
Corruption and
That's what
hatred
I
that
think he means.
existed in the real
Yeah.
world. How comic writers were trying to communicate beyond just pedantic violence.
Pedantic
Stop saying
violence
that!
beneath the surface.
Stop saying that.
That
I know
is
you
incredible.
keep rewinding it.
I'm loving
because
this.
we have to keep hearing it.
It's incredible. I've never heard.
It bugs me a lot that he keeps using the word pedantic and violence together. They don't go together.
Pedantic. I'm trying
What he means. Like, what does it? Because obviously he's using the wrong word. So does he think like pedantic means like slow, basic, unoriginal, or something like that?
In this context, if he's describing something like a noun as pedantic, that means the violence itself has like minutia of like
Many
I
of the
punched him
essays are
with
long, dense, and too pedantic to hold great appeal.
Well, no. In that sentence, if you're going to understand the sentence of what he used the words for, you're describing the violence in a very particular, nuanced, like descriptive, specific kind of way. Like if I punch someone and the impact was between my second ring finger, or and it ricocheted and put like all these little details that don't really mean too much, but you're going into excessive detail for the sake of it because you know all these adjectives, right? So I'm like, okay, fair, let's go with that. But they're beneath the surface. So it's like pedantic violence beneath the surface. So it's not just me punching someone in that very visceral, detailed way. It's I'm doing that, but it's more than just the physical. It's like emotional, spiritual violence, or what it means to punch. You're like, okay, beneath the...
Okay, I went and looked it up to get the full proper definition. Pedantic is an insulting word used to describe someone who annoys others by correcting small errors, caring too much about minor details,
Yes.
or emphasizing their own experience, especially in some narrow or boring subject matter. Like this guy. And I guess us.
I too bought a thesaurus for Christmas. How did you know?
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Anyway, I just have to focus on that for.
But it can also be many...
All right, let's keep going, guys.
It's beneath us. Eventually, I came to question whether Batman himself was a good person, whether his archetype as a vigilante billionaire was problematic. And while there were plenty of people who misinterpreted Batman, seeing him as their hyper-masculine mascot, I began to recognize the opposite.
Yeah, this is.
And now we get to him complaining about masculinity.
This is the personal thing. This is the fact that Batman is not a communist figurehead. That's why it's problematic. We're getting to the meat and potatoes, lads. This is the main part where it's like, because Arkham Asylum is not my ideology. That's it. I cannot believe another another moron like this exists. Do we not have enough of these people on YouTube?
I can believe it.
No. We could do a few more of them.
All right. This is actually less painful because we've probably heard this so many times before in the past. So it's like, oh, this guy. I know this guy.
It's just annoying. Like, it's just all the check boxes. He's a capitalist, masculine, cop-loving vigilante. He's everything a socialist hates.
I'm feeling the need for some pedantic violence.
that is more than the surface level violence.
Again,
it punches my soul.
It's just a person who feels the need to correct minor, insignificant errors.
No, I'm gonna be a pedant, right? That means I'm going to be pedantic because, well, and pedantic is, it's the act of being, a pedant is the person who is pedantic.
Right. Yeah.
Right, but pedantic means you correct minor details or insignificant errors that don't matter.
All right.
Hey,
I'll be honest with you with this discussion.
Yeah, we can skip this, guys. It's okay.
So being pedantic is overly picky.
Yes.
Basically,
being corrective over minor details.
Guys,
basically, you're a journalist
Basically, you're
complaining about
autistic.
movies.
Sure. Okay.
I'm pedantic about when it comes to people getting gun terminology wrong.
All right. Anyway, we are at 26-27. We're going to keep going.
Let's keep
Batman,
going,
to
guys.
me, is a flawed individual, a post-modernist hero, someone
Really?
who has the ability to do horrible things, but also hopefully grow from them. Whether or not the developers meant it, I began to see Arkhamverse Batman like I see many other versions.
Right, he's a guy who can do horrible things. He doesn't
Like beating the shit out of a sociopathic murder clown.
He's a postmodernist hero? But he hopes
Yes,
for the best. He always hopes for the best.
He's a post-modernist hero from 1939.
He's...
This guy is just...
losing brain cells listening to this guy, or maybe that's the whiskey. I don't know.
Anyway, this is great. Let's keep going.
Of the character to be a cautionary tale. I began to recognize Batman's place in Gotham, someone who so desperately wants to help, but is unfortunately feeding the flames of the socioeconomic problem.
Whoa.
Socioeconomic problem. Oh, God. Where you're really going to go back to complaining that he's rich.
If Batman stops feeding the problem, basically the existence of, Gotham, and people in it, then there's no Gotham.
One of the biggest reasons why people go crazy in Gotham is because there's a freaking magic fountain beneath it that's full of water that brings people back to life. That's getting into the fucking water supply.
Oh yeah, and that water, doesn't it destroy your soul over time?
Yes, you also eventually build a resistance to it, and it just stops working.
Well, the idea that Bruce is hurting Gotham by stopping crime and giving to charity is somehow contributing to its social economic issues. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Like the socialist revolution. That's something that actually pisses me off so much. These so-called socialists. You know how socialist governments punished people who shoplifted and stole? They put them up against a wall and they shot them in the back of the head without hesitation. Thievery was a capital punishment.
Anyway,
in socialist countries.
Paradise.
It's always this. Why can't it be something different? Why is it always socialism and communism? Why can't we just talk about
Because
Batman?
they're a bunch of fucking contrarians that just want some edgy-looking counterculture to make themselves sound smarter.
Anyway, this is great. I'm gonna keep going.
A bunch of fucking children who never grew out of their teenage angst phase of
One
rebelling
not
against their
solved
boomer
simply with his
parents.
fist, not a
We got to rewind, but I'm almost in tears.
who so desperately wants to help, but is unfortunately feeding the flames of the socioeconomic problem, one that Batman cannot
To be pedantic, it's fanning the flames, not feeding the flames. So, yeah. But he's not. He's pumping money into Gotham so that people won't go to crime. and the ones who do go to crime, he dresses up as a bat and beats the shit out of them.
In one of the comics, a criminal and petty criminal learns Batman's secret identity and is willing to sell it to whoever wants it. Batman's rogues gallery shows up and tries to kill him over it because they don't care or want to know who Batman is. Now with a fucking bullseye on his back, you know what Batman does? You know what Bruce Wayne does? He gets him a new identity, gives him a shitload of money, and gets him out of Gotham. The man who is willing to sell his secret identity, Hushbird, he's willing to give a second chance and a new life.
Do you remember that
half of his rogues gallery already knew anyway.
And they don't care.
Of the new Adventures of Batman, where Nightwing's just talking to Tim Drake, and they talk about that criminal that Batman breaks his arm in front of his son.
Yeah, he brought up that Batman went too far in that instance.
Yeah, and then so what Bruce did was he gave that guy a job at Wayne Towers as a security guard.
Yeah.
And the security guard actually says how much how nice Bruce Wayne is and everything like that, giving him a chance and all that. So Batman will help people out, and give them a second chance.
Like the minor petty criminals, he's more just not cut the shit. Go work for the Wayne Foundation and cut the shit.
But communist revolution again from YouTubers, because these people are going to be on the front lines when it happens, of course.
God, I hope so. I hope the people who don't know which end the bullet of it comes out of a gun are on the front lines. I would fucking love to see it.
All right, we're at 27 minutes. Let's go.
Keep going.
With his fist, not alone. His allies constantly come and go, realizing quickly what type of man he really is, one who is extremely noble yet dangerous, primarily to himself. Underneath the dramatic fights and layered gameplay loop, the Arkham games build up an interesting story about two people obsessed with each other, a relationship no one but them would understand.
He's now skipped to the VR
right
game.
About that, but you're coming to the wrong conclusions. It's like, yeah, Batman's Bat family, for lack of a better term, they can't handle Bruce's compulsion.
What people call them.
The Bat family get to the point where they can no longer handle Bruce's obsession, and they leave him. Like, okay, you get one thing right. Batman's is a obsessive, compulsive, self-destructive person.
Yeah,
that's a character flaw.
I think the closest we could do to giving him a diagnosis, which, well, we can't diagnose because none of us are psychologists, is PTSD.
PTSD and probably obsessive-compulsive disorder, because he has an obsessive compulsion to fight crime.
And because when he was 8, he watched his parents get gunned down in front of him.
Yeah.
That fucked that little kid's mind.
And it's revealed in the Harley Quinn show that he blames himself.
I don't listen to anything from that show.
I mean,
yeah, I don't like the Harley Quinn show either, but you know what?
I mean,
that's one of very few things they did well.
Seraph, you haven't seen Batman Begins, have you? It's brought
no,
up in
I
that
haven't.
as well.
Batman Begins, he blames himself as well. That's probably where they took it from.
So, in the Dark Knight trilogy.
No, I've not seen the Dark Knight trilogy.
That's the only good one. The others are held up just because of villains.
Understandable.
Yeah, true. I'll give you that.
All right, let's keep going.
Batman tries desperately to escape his own trauma through focusing on crushing crime in Gotham, yet that one man will always be in the back of his mind, an outburst contained.
He's not trying to
Batman's
escape his
hatred
trauma. He's trying to make sure nobody else ever gets traumatized the way he did. That's why he took Robin in when his parents were murdered and helped bring the killer to justice, so Robin wouldn't turn out like him.
Yeah, who might have asked him, Wonder Woman?
Why? Yes, it was
Diana.
justice. Women. Why? So he can turn out like you? No, so that he wouldn't.
And that applies to the main continuity too.
It's like
I just really like
Batman
that scene.
is traumatized. He's emotionally disturbed, but he wants to make damn sure that never happens to anyone else.
It's quite clear that this guy connects with the Joker, so why are we even thinking about anything? Well, let's just try and finish this shit show because I've just listened to bullshit now.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to go into my angry dome later.
All right. Let's go.
His violence, his ignorance, yet his constraint can all be explained by his greatest fear. That in another world not so different to this one, the Batman would be rotting away in Arkham Asylum with the rest of the criminals. Batman Arkham Asylum, an extremely entertaining game with problematic depictions and thought-provoking themes, ultimately resulted in a video essay being created that exposed the real-life consequences of the game. It expanded upon the
real life consequences of a fucking Batman game. What are you even on about? What real life consequences?
You know, most people play a Batman game to play as Batman and beat the hell out of bad guys. It's a fucking beat 'em up.
He showed this exact thing on screen.
Yeah, this is another.
Mentioned the exact video essay.
He mentioned the video Arkham Asylum is over by Micah
Edmonds.
Edmonds.
Still shot look like the pathetic meme.
I guess.
Well, no, this is him again, just regurgitating what he's already read or watched, and he's being inspired to do his own version of that, which is just a weaker version of his own rambling in posing of this. So I think he's run out of things to say, and he's just trying to bring it all together. It's just like, okay, dude, you have no idea where you're going.
Let's hope the rest of this is just a fucking shameless plug or
summarizations, rational thought, trying to.
I'm still confused by the supposed real-world consequences of Batman Arkham Asylum, because he's not said one real-world consequence of the game being made.
Yeah, why do I feel like the original Micah Edmonds video that he's referring to was also a bunch of hooey?
Yeah, well,
2.5 fucking hours.
Let's keep going.
Problematic and thought-provoking themes ultimately resulted in a video essay being created that exposed the real-life consequences of the game. It expanded upon the history of mental institutions that the game failed to elaborate on. It was a wake-up call not only about the nostalgia complex of childhood.
So the game did not comment on a thing, and yet it had real-life consequences on a thing it didn't talk about.
From 70 fucking years ago!
It's not about the mental institutions, it's about the characters there. It's about Batman, the Joker, and Batman's Rogues Gallery.
And like I brought up yesterday, the whole inner complexities of the Arkham Asylum can make for an interesting story in the Batman mythos. We got an episode of that in the New Adventures of Batman, where the new warden is a fucking asshole.
And there was the Telltale game as well too.
Yeah.
Where Bruce Wayne actually did end up in Arkham for a bit.
Like, there is a potential for an interesting story there, and we've seen interesting stories with them, but that's not what this one's about. I'm yelling. I'm sorry.
It's not even about like the interesting story. I want to know what these real world consequences of Arkham Asylum are, because he's mentioned this repeatedly.
Don't you know that asylums are bad, and the game didn't bring that up? That's a real world consequence.
No, it's not. That's not a consequence of anything. What did Batman Arkham Asylum do that caused something in the real world to happen?
Absolutely
That's real world consequences. Exactly. So nothing.
We don't have asylums anymore.
Well, there is one thing. It became one of the best Batman games ever made. That's all. That's it. That's literally it.
And we don't have asylums anymore.
I think we need to bring asylums back.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people are saying.
All right.
Obviously, with the whole modern medicine and the approaches we have to treating people and not sticking them in a straitjacket and drilling holes in their brain until they stop acting crazy.
Right? We got to bring that back too.
Okay.
I mean, it was effective.
All right, let's keep going.
Anyway,
stories, but also about the nature of mental illness in the real world, something we isolate in buildings far away to hide from the public consciousness. Arkham Asylum is over would have
and
never...
others.
Yeah, there's a big difference between a hospital and a criminal hospital.
It's
The
like
reason we put people in asylums is because they were a danger to themselves and others.
it's like
It was only for the most extreme of lunatics.
And
like Broadmoor
this
in the
one-
UK.
And this one specifically, yeah, like Broadmoor, criminally insane. So it's not normal. It's not normal mental illness. It's criminally insane.
You know, like the
Murderers,
gambling
rapists,
addict who has a
cannibals.
fetish for stabbing people.
If the game didn't make a mistake in the first place. We are human. We can endure making mistakes. We can learn from them. We can learn from the mistakes of others. We can be influenced to teach each other to be better through our collective mistakes. This is the way of progress. That's how it works. It's ultimately the point of Batman, I think, understanding justice not through retribution or vengeance, but through patience and trust. To realize that justice cannot be enforced, it has to be understood. Arkham Asylum is a problematic game, but it is at least about something.
I'm sorry. Justice has to be understood. Do you want us all to become
Problematic?
lawyers? What does that mean?
It's problematic to this guy, not to anybody else.
It's a game about Batman beating up the Joker who turns into a steroid monster.
Why do I get a feeling that this guy, along with most other people of his political ideology, don't like justice because they really just want to commit crimes and they don't want to be punished for it? It's
Honestly, about Joker turning into a steroid monster.
You know, honestly, as I listen to this guy talk, I'm reminded of what was that movie? The Dark Knight Returns, the animated one, where the psychiatrist is talking about how good the Joker is, and then the Joker breaks a coffee mug and stabs him in the throat.
Yeah,
I'm imagining this guy is the psychiatrist.
I mean that was a god awful comic, but the Dark Knight Returns animated movie was a good.
No,
movie.
no. Well, I mean the Dark Knight Returns comic is decent. It's Dark Knight Strikes Again that's the shitty one.
Okay, well, it's still one of the Frank Miller comics, but
Dark Knight Returns the comic is still one of the better stories with the character in general.
Anyway, I think what Bad Boy Beta is trying to say is the fact that
literally abusive to Robin, like making him hunt for food in the Batcave. Or is
That's
that
all
Strikes Again?
That's All Star Batman and Robin.
All Star Batman. No, that's another one of the Frank Miller comics.
But back to the video.
yeah, guys, let's not talk about fucking Frank Miller. I've had one nut job already today.
Yeah, well, Frank Miller is a discussion for another day.
Even
I think what sorry, I was going to say what Bad Boy Bait was pointing out is, these people would be the psychiatrist saying that the Joker's cured and then get stabbed in the neck.
By
This
a
guy
broken
sees this as-
porcelain coffee mug.
Yeah, but this guy sees this game as problematic solely because there's a justice system in it. That's his issue with it, and like I've said before, it comes down to political ideology, and that's taken over.
Also, Joker did what he did in that story because of Batman coming back. Because Joker was comatose for that entire time up until he was damn sure that Batman was back.
Also, in that comic, Batman was just sick and tired of the Joker's bullshit and was willing to break his fucking neck.
Yeah, but the irony in there is that what happened to Joker, he brought it on himself, even with Batman willing to do it.
Like in the animated movie, he throws batarangs and one of them embeds itself in Joker's eye. Like, I'm through playing games, Joker. I'm finishing this tonight.
Exactly. It's like even Dark Knight Returns contradicts this guy's argument in the video.
It's like and consequently, Joker just ends up killing himself because Batman breaks his neck. He's paralyzed from the neck down. He goes, "They're gonna kill you, Bruce," and then snaps his own neck. I'll see you in hell.
Exactly. That's the point right there.
Anyway, let's keep going.
Stories that are like Arkham Asylum. Then witness stories become about nothing, slowly teaching us to care about nothing.
Sorry, is he saying we don't care about the story of Batman Arkham Asylum? Let's try that again.
Genga and I have been very vocal about pointing out everything we're saying being stupid. We clearly care about this story.
All right, let's try this again.
Yeah.
Stories that are like Arkham Asylum. Then witness stories become about nothing, slowly teaching us to care about nothing. Stories we can't question, stories we can't even learn from.
Oh, so modern
Stories
Hollywood.
that are just
Modern
Yeah.
left-wing Hollywood.
Guys, can we at least pause the video before we start shouting and
I'm
stuff?
sorry, but
Try this again.
that's just what comes to mind. Like,
about nothing.
stories about nothing.
Stories
yeah,
we can't
modern
question.
Hollywood.
Stories we can't even learn from. Stories that are just nothing.
So, like this video.
Yeah.
The question you and I may be asking now is, why does the problematic nature of Arkham even matter?
It doesn't exist.
It's not problematic.
What you made up in your head isn't what was in the game.
I can't even think
we
of
care
anything
about,
to say.
It's just stories about nothing. So, like I said, modern storytelling, modern Hollywood, modern games. Very few exceptions to that. For example, I really liked the DreamWorks Puss in Boots Last Wish. I've heard really good things about the Wild Robot.
Why my head can't even matters. No, we don't. No, we don't.
I'm not really
at all.
connecting with the story to Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2, but it's pretty fun to go ape shit buck wild as a Space Marine killing the Xeno horde, so I don't care.
It seems to be a slow version of Bloodborne.
I've heard that it's, from what the clerk told me, it's more like OG Gears of War. Going with your NPC squad and tear aliens apart, or with a squad of actual players if you want to play online, or you pay for PlayStation Plus, Xbox Live, or whatever the hell it's called. I haven't paid for PlayStation Plus.
All right. Okay.
To prove that the representations in the game have misled people in some way despite being fictional. Do people truly understand where the fiction ends and the real life influence?
Are you retarded, sir? Do you seriously think people watching a video game or playing it or reading a book don't know what's real? Are you serious?
Okay, so back in the 90s, when the Christian right threw a fit about video games and about people replicating what they saw in movies, cartoons, and video games, they were talking about quote unquote people like this.
Yeah. So you know what? Maybe they were onto something.
Someone said this guy's fucking retarded.
You know, that's an insult to people who are diagnosed with mental retardation. And you want to know why that's insulting and offensive to them?
What?
Because they're smarter than him.
Why would anybody playing Arkham Asylum not know where the fiction ends and reality starts? There's no reality to it.
There's a 12-foot tall crocodile man.
It's a Batman game. There's nothing real about it. This isn't real. Nothing's real.
One of the psychiatrists of Arkham Asylum went crazy and started pumping people full of toxins that makes them see weird, crazy, scary shit.
Including that particular scientist being a 50-foot tall monster.
Yeah. Jonathan Crane goes absolutely batshit bonkers and starts injecting people with fear toxin.
What? Who thought that this is real?
I don't know.
Oh.
Oh my god.
This guy apparently.
All right.
We've still got 3 minutes of this video. What can he even carry on saying?
I
don't know. Let's hear it.
Ran out of whiskey.
We're at the
It's close to 2.5.
Usually we say the 2-minute mark. I think we got to make a new rule for this guy. It's a 3-minute mark. Okay.
I drank all my Toki whiskey.
Do some people really think mental institutions are like this?
No.
I'm not sure I
No!
am capable.
No.
Nobody.
No, just keep going.
Like this for like
Just
80
keep going.
fucking years.
I need.
It's 2024. They haven't
Imagine-
drilled holes
imagine-
in the heads of crazy people in decades.
Imagine walking into a mental institution and going, "All right, where's the 12-foot crocodile man? Where are you keeping him?"
I'm looking up when the last lobotomy was.
It was probably about 32 minutes ago.
I think I lobotomized myself on that last bit of whiskey, that bottle of whiskey I drank.
Oh,
right.
this is. I want to have the whole census.
This guy's actually in Arkham Asylum right now. He's one of the patients.
He's in the confessional recording this video.
I want to see the census where it
We haven't
explains
had a lobotomy in almost 60 over 60 years.
I was gonna say
This
each
is-
of the section. I was gonna say each of the sections.
it hasn't
No.
quite-
Wait.
we
Let me
had
get it out. Let me get it out.
The last lobotomy was performed almost 60 years ago in 1967. It's been 53 years
was gonna
since
say-
asylums were fucking awful.
The bad boys thing is like he's in Arkham Asylum right now. Yeah, each section of this video is his interview tapes.
Yeah, this is like the lawyer of like the guy who's helping Jack Thompson back in the day, but instead about violence, he's talking about institutions in video games.
I would rather talk with Jack Thompson than this guy.
Yeah,
It's like that meme, you know, when
Because you know what? At least Jack Thompson was onto something. If this guy's anything to go by.
remember the meme with like Starship Troopers where they're like, oh, the bugs are good, and it's a bug typing on the computer. This is these asylums are bad. We should not hurt the prisoners and let the criminals do what they want. It's just some insane guy typing away.
You know, I never understood the whole Starship Troopers, whatever the new one Sony put out that people are still playing, Super Earth. Helldivers 2.
Oh, Helldivers.
The
Yeah.
fucking if the fucking Xeno bug evil robot conquering cannibalistic murderous evil bug things, if you relate those to minorities or Jews or whatever, that's on you.
Or you've just got this video cancelled.
Anyway,
You shouldn't have mentioned the Goyim.
this is
You get the point.
this
though.
is great because he's just listing a bunch of
Because
grievances
these are
that
the
don't
types of
exist.
people.
And we're just sitting there going, "What are you talking about?"
Or relate the bugs, the Starship Troopers or Helldivers to minorities.
He's just
No,
he's going
they're
off on
just
nothing.
evil space bugs.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Anyway, let's keep going and pause every 5 seconds because he's going to say something crazy next.
Of answering this in a statistical way, but I don't think it should just be completely dismissed. The case here is much harder to prove than, say, Call of Duty, which continues to
No, the case is very hard to prove because you can't prove it.
I want to hear what he has to say about Call of Duty. I want to hear the rest of it.
A game that used to be really good and really fun, which has just been watered down mush
All right. Well, he's going
for
to
like
use.
And it's
8
the same
years
game.
now.
And it's the same game
He's gonna
over and over
use-
again.
That doesn't bother me so much as long as it's fun, but it's been watered
No,
down
no,
bullshit
it's not.
mush
No,
for like
Going to use stats.
8
to
years
explain
now.
himself.
No, he's not. He's not talking about the gameplay and the game stuff. He's talking about the real world consequences of Call of Duty.
Your real world consequences of Call of Duty, where I jump out of a helicopter with a rocket launcher and get a fucking headshot on Al Qaeda, Taliban, Hamas
No,
terrorist
no,
man.
360 no scope.
No, it's not even that. He said, right, but it's very hard to prove statistically the people who had real world consequences due to Batman Arkham Asylum, because obviously it's 0. So he's now going to Call of Duty and he'll mention gun crime or
The
something.
only real world consequence of Call of Duty is how many people were inspired to join the military by it.
No, I'm
Also, that and whenever
I think I can remember 2 cases where it had someone killed, and one of them. The uncle
I
of
do know of one case where
So,
Controller Race
yes.
round up a guy tracking his ass down, driving clear across the fucking country just to shoot a guy in the head who beat him in Call of Duty.
That's one of the cases, and there's another one where a guy, doxed his neighbor, and he then got swatted.
So you know what? Maybe Jack Thompson was onto something about Call of Duty.
I want to hear what this guy has to say about Call of Duty, the rest of it.
about morality and ethics of war in a far more direct way. Superheroes are a lot more vague. They are obviously supernatural. They are beyond real life. But does that mean they have no relation to real life? Of course, some
Absolutely
people
none
will argue that
whatsoever.
representation is...
Sir, just pause when you're going to talk.
I'm sorry. Just don't my thoughts pour out.
Pause and then rant.
Fucking comic book characters. Superman was literally created as a piece of American propaganda. He's the all-American superhero. That's Superman.
I think also his creators were 2 Jewish refugees.
I think something
who
like
came to
that.
America.
Yeah, Siegel and
Something
Schuster.
like that.
They were both aliens.
Not
America.
refugees. Well, immigrants to be exact. But yeah,
Immigrants.
If he was created in the late 30s, early 40s. They escaped the Reich. Yeah, they would be refugees.
They were still aliens who arrived in America and decided to represent themselves as an extraterrestrial with superpowers.
Yeah. Superman was literally created as a piece of American propaganda to be the all-American action hero who saves the day and protects the people.
He's basically
We're
the self-insert
America.
of 2 Jews.
Yeah.
America.
Well, there's plenty of things to learn from superheroes, whether you want to use analogies like Superman as the Moses character or Batman as the hero of a world that can't save itself. Like, there's all kinds of wonderful stories that we could learn from. So I don't know what he's trying to say, comparing it to like a war game, whereas another game has Batman, which is he's just a guy. So I don't know where he's going with this, but okay. I mean, maybe it's harder for us to figure out analogies and symbolism when everyone's superpowered.
He's just projecting.
Yeah,
I genuinely think he's just projecting at this point.
You
Actually, I think he was projecting at the
And
0.01 second mark.
Anyway, we are 30 minutes and 25 seconds.
There is 2 minutes left in this video.
Okay, here we go.
At all, and I would say that's probably because they personally aren't being misrepresented in the media. Thousands of people are stuck in mental institutions every year. Some describe it as worse than prison. Not because it's a madhouse like Arkham Asylum where there's rats everywhere and crazy people running around, but because they have no set...
They are in a mental institution.
No.
They are mentally deranged and unwell and are a danger to themselves and others. People who are in a mental institution should not be taken at face value because they're crazy.
I'm just wanting to... I want to rewind that because did he say rats or brats? It sounded like...
Rats. He's talking about the rats.
Oh, he said rats?
I don't remember ever seeing rats in Arkham
I heard
Asylum.
brats.
Maybe they're there. I haven't played it in a little while.
Let's try that again.
Here
we go.
The game and run through it again.
as worse than...
Calm down. Let's play the video.
If there's rats, then it's...
Trying to
it's
calm
not being
down.
run
I'm
correctly.
sorry.
All right, let's hear it
I
again.
know I'm getting a little overzealous with responding to this guy's statements. I'm sorry.
Here we
Let's
go.
see what he has to say.
Here we go.
What are you saying?
prison. Not because it's a madhouse like Arkham Asylum where there's rats everywhere and...
He said brats, right?
It does sound like
he said
brats, but he's talking about rats. I don't know if he misspoke or if his mic screwed up, but it does sound like brats.
About those those dolls from the early 2000s, because that could drive you crazy.
So
you know what?
Why would there
Okay,
be
that's what I was about to
unruly
mention is
children running around
completely
the prison?
unrelated. I'm not going to bring it up, but the Bratz dolls were just fucking ugly and weird. Why? But yeah, you make sure your mic quality is a little clearer, dude, because it's like you misspoke or if your mic didn't catch right. That might have been a line to retake when you heard it in editing.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think
But again,
we're talking about government subsidied hospitals, I assume, or some sort of asylums for the criminal.
Yeah, because these mental hospitals are pretty fucking clean and sterile because they're a fucking hospital. They have to be.
I'm sure some were not taken care of, but we're talking very few. So I want to know exactly what his problem is And what
Like,
is the
yes.
issue today? Like, what is he talking about?
I think he's complaining that people who have severe mental illness, who are a danger to themselves and others, are kept out of public where they're not a danger to themselves or others.
I think his issue is the fact that a video game that probably nobody in the mental asylum played doesn't portray mental asylums in the greatest light, even though it's a fictional thing.
Yeah, well,
And in the in the Batman mythos, Arkham is a shithole. I remember in 2004, the Batman versus Dracula. I don't remember what year it came out. It's from that franchise. Arkham Asylum is not shown in a positive light, where the inmates are in shackles, lined up on a table, drawing pictures with a crayon. Where some of the inmates are just pretending to be crazy. Shush, bird.
all right. Well, let's keep going. We're almost done.
Crazy people around,
Great
but
special,
because
by the
they
way,
have
watch
no
it.
set release date, and convincing doctors of your rehabilitation is an extremely difficult task. If one
Because
of
they're
these
mentally
people
ill.
played Arkham
They are mentally ill. That's why it's hard to convince the doctor
Pause the
that
video.
they're well enough. I'm sorry. It pours out. I'm sorry.
Oh,
They're mentally
no.
ill. That's why it's hard to convince doctors that they're sane enough to release, because they're not only are they mentally ill, they are a danger to themselves and others, usually in a mental institution, because they tried to kill themselves or other people in a fit of manic rage.
Yeah.
They
just
are
gonna be honest,
mentally unwell.
I'm
That's
very,
why it's
very,
hard to get them released.
yeah, I'm gonna be honest here. The asylum system is not going to base their treatment and your rehabilitation of you off of the decor of a 2009 video game about a man who wears his underpants on the outside who punches a clown. That is not
Seriously, a game.
something that's going to happen.
Did Batman Arkham Asylum released in 2008 or 9? I don't remember.
9.
2009.
In 2000, a game from 2009 about a mentally disturbed man who dresses in spandex as a giant bat is not going to depict asylums or mental hospitals realistically. Especially when this asylum houses a 12-foot tall crocodile man.
Again, this is also why I'm convinced that he did this out of the fact that it's the 15th anniversary. Easy target.
90% of what this man has said has had absolutely nothing to do with fucking Batman.
Yeah, welcome to Smudcast.
Yeah, no, he's basically saying, think of the children. And we're like, who's hurt? Like, what are you talking
No,
about?
it's not think for children. It's won't someone please think of the criminally insane mass murderers? It's like, no.
Where are
actually,
they?
The criminally
And you
insane
are-
mass
I want to
murderers
say
who
that.
have a sexual fetish for stabbing people.
Anyway, this is hilarious. I love this.
Yeah, so,
Asylum,
but yeah,
I don't think they'd appreciate it. There's lots of great stories to pull from real life situations, but Rocksteady chose to instead make up most.
You really just say, I don't think the mentally insane people would appreciate the depiction.
Think
the
of the
criminally
children.
insane.
Insane
Think of
people
the
are too
mothers of
busy
the children.
screaming at the toilet.
Hold on. I'm more interested in
like-
the other
like-
half of that sentence.
Yeah, like Rocksteady's sitting around.
It's clear
like-
that Rocksteady made it up. Well, yeah,
Like
it's
Rocksteady's
fiction.
sitting around going, "Oh, we're gonna get letters from you."
Guys, hold on. One at a time. I know everyone wants to speak, but let's just get one at a time.
Yeah.
Bad boy, what were you saying?
I was making a joke. I said, "Yeah, Rocksteady's going to be going. Oh, we're going to get letters from mental institutions over this game."
Yeah, they were so worried. Sure.
You can criticize the U.S. prison system. You can criticize the U.S. mental hospital system, but that has nothing to fucking do with Batman Arkham Asylum, a game with a 12-foot tall crocodile man.
And a woman who controls plants.
Or a fucking gambling addict who has a sexual fetish for stabbing people. It's very, very detached from reality.
Seraph, you're starting to sound like BludPanda.
Yeah, what would these like angry letters be like? And dear sir or madam, I was very disturbed to see how you represented the feces covered walls of our padded rooms. I'll have you know they're cleaned at least once a week. And and in other words, We only perform 2 lobotomies a year.
I need to stop drinking.
All right. Well,
I'm doing this Smudcast.
we're at 31 minutes. We're almost done. It's great.
Thankfully.
Of it, which would be fine if Batman wasn't called the most realistic superhero, if the game wasn't designed to look so realistic. In that way, there's confusion.
Who is calling Batman
That's the-
realistic?
That's the
It's a
aesthetic.
fucking
It's just-
emotionally disturbed man who dresses in spandex.
Yeah.
Who is calling Batman realistic? He was trained by a cult of assassins. Who is calling Batman realistic?
Yeah.
No,
He
was
fights a
trained-
literal god in the comics. Who is calling Batman realistic?
He's whining that it's not in a cartoon style. That it's the models use the aesthetic of the thing. It's using a realistic appearance of the characters.
Who cares?
As opposed to a more cartoony appearance.
Yeah,
Which,
Okay,
to
you
me,
know what? I would love a
is-
more cartoony approach to Batman
which-
in a video game. Like, give us a Brave and the Bold game where it's goofy, campy, 60s cheese. I would love
And-
that as a beat 'em up. But that's
and
not
to me,
relevant.
this whole complaint that about the aesthetic being too realistic is absolutely fucking stupid.
It's a game from 2009. If it didn't look realistic and edgy and gritty and brown, people would bitch that it's a kid's game.
Yep, that's
Pretty
just
much.
how it was back then.
All right. Let's keep going.
It's kind of how it is now.
Yeah.
Confusion, what is fiction and what is meant to be taken seriously. And that's where I would hope
None
a
of it.
writer or designer puts a little bit of thought into the ways people could take the wrong message from the game. What I'm asking for here isn't a systematic policing of problematic depictions in video games.
That
Yes,
was
you
that is what you. That's actually what you're asking for.
Well, he's implying it, yeah.
I can't believe I'm going to be saying this, but Wisp, please forgive me. But by God, his complaint is it's not communist enough. That's literally his entire complaint
Well,
about this entire
let's
game.
forget about his
If
politics.
Wisp-
He
if
has a
Wisp was
bunch
in
of
here, we would
interests,
have a-
and he just
Go
wants
ahead.
what he wants. That's pretty much. It's like, okay, I want the
Yeah,
thing,
but-
but it's silly. There's no reason for this because everyone loves these series. Everyone loves the gameplay. Everyone loves the stories. Everyone loves the characters. The art style's
Yeah.
fine. Music's like all these things are fine.
Yeah, the game's really well put together. It's why it was
Good
successful.
game.
But the thing
That's
is,
why
it's
there
like,
that's why there are 5 Arkham games out right now. Arkham Asylum, City, Origins, Night, and Shadow.
Shadow's
I
gonna
actually,
suck.
from what people say, Arkham Shadow is actually pretty good for a VR. Oh yeah, there's Arkham VR. I forgot about that one.
There was already an Arkham VR. That's not
Arkham
even
Shadows on the MetaQuest VR, from what people are saying about it online, is actually pretty good.
I'll believe
I don't
it
have a
when I see
VR headset, and VR doesn't appeal to me. But if it's good, it's good.
So I
We'll
think
see
if
about
Wisp
that.
were- I think even if Wisp was here in chat with us, the English would still outnumber the Germans.
If Wisp was here in the chat with us right now, we would have gone on for a 45-minute rant about how this guy is a communist, socialist, whatever. And that's no offense to Wisp if you're watching.
I think Wisp could see
I agree
through-
with you.
could see-
I agree with the hypothetical. I'm just,
this person
that's
is,
what would happen.
is very lax on what they're trying to explain and how they get there. They're just sort of, again, I really think they watched that guy's video. They were so inspired by it, and they decided to do their own, and it's just not there. It's just not coming
It's a-
together. So he's
It's a 30-minute video about nothing.
no. He's
How
got,
do we know when it's over?
I do. Click.
I honestly believe he had some. He wanted to say something political.
sure.
Oh,
And
he
like I
absolutely
said-
has said. He has absolutely said things that are political.
But unfortunately, he realised he wasn't that interesting. So, like I said, he's used Arkham Asylum because A, it's a 15-year anniversary, and B, it's a nice skin suit to wear.
And see, it's
And-
popular.
And like you've seen, you can keep the facade up for so long, but you're actually, I'm talking about the game.
Whereas
But then
what
this-
he should have done is just use the lens properly, saying, well, if I use this postmodernist lens, this is what I see and this is what I focus on, and that's about a 5-10 minute analysis of data, and then you talk about it. That'd be fine. but he just kept going with it as if this is what he actually thinks and believes that the game should be doing and how people could see it. And if only you saw how I saw it, you'd be more enlightened and blah, blah, blah. And you're like, dude, it's a video game for fun.
And
it's not.
Yesterday, didn't he go on like a 20-minute rant about gentrification in Arkham City? Or not Arkham City, Arkham Knight.
Well, the thing is, like, you look at how the video starts.
Like, he mentioned a game that was unrelated to Arkham Asylum. He has titled this video A Narrative Critique of Batman Arkham Asylum, and he goes on a 10-minute rant about Arkham Knight and gentrification.
About Founders Island, yeah.
And it's unrelated. Stay on topic. If you want to talk about that, fine. Talk about it in its own dedicated video.
If I was gonna retitle this video, it wouldn't be a critique of a narrative. It'd be what was it, like the problematic issues of Arkham Asylum or something like that.
The problematic issues of the Arkham franchise in general, because he's not just dedicated to talking about Arkham Asylum. It's Arkham Asylum, Knight, and City. Not that I said that in the wrong order. I don't care. The point is, like, it's not the title of the video is not relevant to what you're talking about. Either change the title or stay focused on Arkham Asylum, and then do one on City, and then do one on Night. Stay on topic.
It's like what actual story beats has he talked about in the game?
None that I can remember.
Barely anything.
Of course, then again, I'm drunk right now, so I don't know.
His definition of plot points was actually incorrect, and we were just catching him on that. We're like, wait, what is he talking about?
I do remember talking about, like, he gets the plot points wrong, like how he flies off into the moonlit night. No, he flies off to Arkham to go punch Two-Face in the face because he's robbing the Bank of Gotham.
Just the man is the second national bank, one of them being Two-Face. No, like I said, this is clearly someone whose politics came first, and then the script and everything, his ideas came second. Because you've seen the decline of the video. If you watch it all the way through, you can pinpoint the points where it just gets worse and worse and worse. And this second half, he's just descended into madness with it. None of it's made sense. None of it's connected. It's not flowed. The only reason it's even moving forward is because time is linear and he just speaks.
Maybe he is in Arkham Asylum, and the curse of Amadeus Arkham is driving him crazy.
Who knows? So we've got a minute.
We have less than a minute. We have like 45 seconds left.
Yeah, but that's going to last us another, 20 minutes?
If Sarah has nothing to say about it.
Anyway, I'm an anarchist now, so...
Okay, here we go.
Asking that they try a little bit harder and think about a broader range of people beyond themselves. At the end of the day, I think putting in this effort and nuance into the story would add to it. It would make it better. It would make it more than just another superhero game. If they
it is just, at its core, it is just a superhero game. That's the whole entire point of it. It isn't made to be criticism of an asylum, even though we have that as the set dressing.
And there is pieces in Batman in general where it is criticism of asylums, because Arkham is based off of an H.P. Lovecraft story, like we mentioned yesterday.
There is a lot of criticism of the asylum, of the doctors, of the warden, of the treatment. There's criticism everywhere in the game. It's sprinkled all around.
But that's not what the story's about. The story's about Batman going after a sociopathic, homicidal clown who wants to inject people with super steroids.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's a traditional Batman story. That's really what it was meant to be
Batman's
first.
Crazy and weird, and Batman's going to go beat the fuck out of him. That's the story.
Stories that have proven to be very good in the past prior to this game.
That's not the focal point. If you want a focal point, of the asylum being fucked up and twisted and run by assholes, watch that episode I keep mentioning of The New Adventures of Batman, where Arkham Asylum is run by a deranged psychopathic asshole.
Yep.
That's a good episode, by the way. Go watch it. It's really fucking good. It is about the asylum and the inmates. It mentions the ventriloquist, Harley Quinn, Calendar Man of all fucking people.
Not to mention the countless amount of stories involving the asylum leading up to this game's release. That also inspired the game. That also inspired the game in the first place.
I think Calendar Man was in that episode.
I think.
I have to go watch it again. It's a good episode. When I was at Walmart today, I saw Batman the Animated Series, the complete set for like $40. I almost bought it. Maybe I should have. Maybe I'll go buy it next week, but I got to go back up there and get more stuff for my family.
Do you think it's still going to be there?
I hope so, because I saw a lot of complete editions.
All right, here we go.
This is what I'd want, a deeper look into this twisted world. I would want a more cohesive experience that brings the game to its full potential. I'm glad Arkham Asylum exists. I appreciate my time with it and the conclusions I've come to, and I'd want that for all of those led astray. But until then, this is the last Arkham Asylum video essay.
Thank God.
Yeah, good riddance.
I'm glad I appreciated my time with it. I'm glad I did not appreciate my time with your video.
Those are conclusions people would come to if they had never played the game. So Arkham Asylum doesn't even need to exist for him to have come up with those conclusions.
This was...
All right. Let's get to stream memes. We got to catch up on yesterday.
Yeah, I already linked the first of the memes in the DM group,
which was actually my meme. But this actually happened to me when I was playing through Arkham Asylum the first time. The game bugged out, and after I beat up one of the Joker goons, he wasn't laying flat on the floor. The video is like 8 seconds long. It's
which leads into the first meme of the night, which is what happened as a result of what he just said.
Is this a parody and allegory for capitalism? Yeah.
No.
It's just a story.
Normally mentally ill man. Normal law-abiding men, meanwhile, struggle against their issues. Generally nice people. Criminally insane monster. Abnormal, breaks the law. Malicious and evil, give into their worst vices. Cannibals, murderers, serial killers, evil scientists, and terrorists.
You left out politicians.
Basically.
Okay. You see, this piece of media is bad because it does not reflect my beliefs back at me. That's
literally what these people are.
That is the... After listening to him, that is part of it. But it's really just a fanboy going, if only I had my way, it would be so much better. If only they listened to me. And that's what we heard the last 30 seconds.
Unfortunately, there is some reality in that.
So he could be thinking anything. It doesn't really matter. He just wants what he wants.
As Superman fans see Superman, Batman fans see Batman.
How fans of one or the other see the relationship between the two.
In reality, they're best friends.
They became best friends
they're basically brothers.
Yeah, they
shit and helping each other.
They became best friends because of the initial encounter in World's Finest, because of of what they've done in the League and all that.
And fuck the Zack Snyder films.
The real good stories with Batman and Superman is when they are essentially brothers in arms.
When morning wood fades, you can be peacefully again.
Thanks, dude.
I appreciate it. For God's sake, read a dictionary.
The genocide.
I agree with that. I agree with this statement.
Live man
reaction. Shadow. Man reaction. I don't know why, but Batman's ears photoshopped off is such a funny image.
Well, the man
so
meme.
Fucking weird.
Yeah, it's called man.
I know, but I love just Batman without the ears is funny looking. I love it.
There, this horror story showed a murder of people. Doesn't the author know that murder is bad?
Oh yeah, that's a thing that happened with Goblin Slayer, where
Yeah.
so we had orcs. Orcs were murderous monsters, and we had people sympathizing with the murderous cannibal monsters. So Goblin Slayer, they become rapists, and
Yeah, I don't mind.
you don't have to show them as rapists. Just show them as murderers. Then we'll believe that they're bad. You don't have to make them rapists. That's horrible.
Yeah, I don't necessarily mind
orcs.
orcs being shown as more of a genuine race where they have their own culture and customs. That's kind of makes it interesting.
It depends on the setting.
It
For
does
example,
depend on the setting.
Lord,
I like the
Lord of
elders.
the Rings. They're
Aren't
basically
they just a corrupted
slaves.
fungus? Aren't in Lord of the Rings? Aren't they just basically a corrupted fungus?
No, they're the descendants of elves who were tortured into madness and evil.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway,
I see.
back to the memes.
And then in Elder Scrolls, they're just more of a tribalistic culture that worships Trinimac, who was originally
In
I
Elder
don't remember.
Scrolls, they're also corrupted. All
But they're more of a tribalistic. They keep to themselves. They be the fuck alone kind of thing.
Oh yeah, the freaking Spider-Man, Batman one.
Yeah. I don't kill people because of my moral compass. Hello, cringe department. We have a pussy here.
You guys are way behind.
I mean, that's just Jason Todd.
Well, you guys are behind on. You guys are behind on the memes.
Okay, live jump reaction. Where are we at right now?
From Scorehelm.
Here thinks we live in a
What have
simulation.
been talking about Lord of the Rings? Me and Smud have just been enjoying pure cringy memes.
How I relate to this food.
You want the truth? You're not
How I
ready
relate this
for the
to
truth.
food, excuse me.
We're at the video from
What the hell was
Scorehelm.
that? What are you talking about? It's from that movie. That's not how the line goes. It's you can't handle the truth.
Yeah, I think
remember it the
Spider-Man
other
is his
way.
strongest
Oh,
in
maybe it's the
Insomniac
What's
games,
that?
actually.
Shit that
In the
changes
first one,
whenever they update
2018
the
game.
simulation.
And Cyberfrog pointed out that there is a Batman the Brave and the Bold video game.
We don't control the simulation. It may even be other beings
Nice.
that are watching.
Yeah,
us
I would
right
absolutely
now.
fucking love to see Batman the Brave and the Bold return with a Justice League story where it's just more Silver Age campy cheese, but just with the Justice League as a whole. That would be great. Especially since they set up a whole arc with Equinox only for the very next
Cyrus
episode to be
alcoholism.
the series finale.
I love that video so much.
After you lose challenge.
Mother, are you doing okay? We can't hear you.
No, I'm just going through all the, there's so many memes. It's just going to take so long to go through them.
Yeah.
I mean, it is two videos with memes. It's sad that we can't see a video about taste. We are going to YouTube for it.
Okay, someone posted the Bats Ace.
The Ace scene, yeah.
Yeah.
Watch on your own time if you haven't seen
Need
it.
to watch it on
Yeah.
YouTube, so yeah.
Watch it. Watch
Heard
it.
that- okay, the whole
It's a good scene.
the simulation dialogue. I've heard that whenever I played Arkham Knight.
You're still behind.
Face isn't simply a
Head of anti-Joker committee.
I mean, I'm all the way down at the bottom.
Two-Face isn't simply a criminal. He's mentally ill. The man needs help, not killing.
Why doesn't Batman use his wealth to help Gotham instead of beating up the mentally ill? Batman already does that, constantly. He's funded more charities and social programs than he's had Batmobiles. And as for beating up the mentally ill, I doubt a social reform program could stop the Joker from blowing up Gotham.
Yeah.
Basically.
And then
This-
there's the
This is another
one
scene.
where
This is from the
New
animated
Adventures
series.
of New Adventures of Batman, where he has to hang out with Harley
Animated
Quinn for a
series,
day.
isn't it?
I
Is
thought
it
it was
the
New
animated
Adventure. I
series?
thought it was New Adventures of Batman. It might be the animated series because he's hanging out with Harley for that episode.
And this one. And yes,
One of
his
the later
allies.
episodes.
His allies leaving when they find out what type of man Batman is. You think this one will fit?
Like, yeah, he's playing while the Justice League is working with the parents. He's hanging out with the kids.
And
Batman
again-
has always had a soft spot for kids, and then there's me in the Angry Dome.
Yeah. This is from forget which story
Alex
this
Ross,
was.
yeah, I don't know.
It's an Alex drawn
Marcus,
story, but
this
the
isn't
actual
you.
story I don't remember.
Like a kid is scared of Batman, is aiming a gun at him, but he talks him down and just calms him down.
I forget which actual comic it was, though.
But this
can
shows
read
that
it.
Batman
You can
has
read
a
it.
soft spot for kids.
And
He
speaking of,
genuinely cares about children.
I was gonna say, speaking of the next one, what are you? Are you okay? Looks at the kid. It's all right. Do you need help? You're really big. Is it better? And he kneels down. It's like, yeah. Well, yeah.
Ken, the King of the North, what is this photo? Batman
Okay,
is a
so-
sociopath abuser towards the poor, mentally ill inmates of the mental institution. I only wanted to make him understand their suffering.
And it looks like an AI-generated image of buff Joker smoking a cigar.
Yeah. It's like
Honestly, this is the best use for AI shit posting.
in response to that one from Jacob von Torkar, lockup. Literally the person in question of being accused of the above.
I think that was the character I was mentioning in the New Adventures of Batman episode. He becomes the villain Lockup.
It's like what he described in this video is basically Lockup, not Batman.
And then
Batman had a problem with that
Cyberfrog brings up the game I want.
The Brave and the Bold game, which is actually really good.
If you ever get a chance to watch Brave and the Bold, watch it. It's fucking hilarious. There's literally
play the
there's
game.
an episode. There's a musical episode with the music maestro, and there's also a musical episode where Hawk Girl, Huntress, and Black Canary sing about all of the Justice League men in bed. I'm not joking.
All right. Well, that was
Brave and the Bold was a weird show.
That was a fun little. Again, I like the video. Very odd take on a 15-year-old game, and I don't know if he was attacking a scarecrow or sort of a scarecrow.
I still don't
I don't even know if he was attacking a straw man or what he was doing the last 3 minutes. We were just like, what is he talking about?
I got nothing.
I mean, if you
Nonsense.
want to bring it to food, you could accuse him of attacking a gingerbread man.
Oh yeah, on a stick. Okay. Yeah, that was funny.
Very personal, like the personal attacks against Batman, and it's a bit like, oh, okay, you attack that fictional character.
Yeah, it's as if this is my favorite game ever, blah blah blah, and I really did like it. It's like, okay, are you enjoying this as a fan, or are you just blinded by your own ideology now because you went to school? I don't know. It's a strange take, and any person who's played any of these games, especially all of them, would go, oh, I get it. I fight the bad guys as Batman, and we do some cool things. It's not, oh, what is this? What does this Arkham really mean? Like, what is the idea of Arkham? Like, dude, it's a big mental.
I've been doing a replay on these games, and I know for a fact this was bullshit from the get-go.
I'm honestly tempted to reinstall Arkham Asylum and replay through that.
Hey, that's my job.
Ingerman played another game when.
Yeah,
I'm playing Origins right now.
I've not played Arkham Asylum in it must be what 8-9 years, and I still knew more about the game than this guy who made the video this year, and I'm like, wow, that's embarrassing.
Yeah, I did a full Let's Play of the game as a second playthrough. I originally played through it when I picked it up cheap on Steam.
This is how
They're
you
good
know
games.
Anyway.
The games games like Asylum stick with you so much that you remember things about it even years later.
Genuinely that good.
They're works of art.
This guy couldn't remember stuff about a game that he supposedly loves.
No, I
So
think
that
he was
always
just pulling
raises a red
shit out of
flag.
his ass. I genuinely think he was just fucking lying to people, because had he played the games, he would know Batman was against Arkham City that's why he got arrested by Hugo Strange's goon squad.
No, but that's what I'm trying to say is it raises a red flag when he's not even getting simple things correct about the game. He barely talks about any story beats or anything like that. He mentions a few side missions. That's it. And you're a bit like
just ideology.
All right. Well, I do appreciate you guys and all your crazy ideas and comments on the video, because I have a huge comment list I'm going to post on this guy's video.
I can't wait for that. I can't wait for that comment to be deleted again.
You never know. A lot of people, if you look at the comments, they love what he did. So I'm like, hey, at least he's getting traction. People like his stuff. Good for him. And
But then I kind of think,
agrees with him.
how many views has he got on it?
I think around 7,000, around there.
Good for
Right.
him.
I think it's like one of his highest ones, viewed ones.
Really, he's managed to find like 7,000 communists
Maybe.
Yeah.
that like his stuff. It's like, oh, okay.
Usually it's people
Well, that's
who
all
don't.
I've got to say on this. Y'all have a good one.
Oh, okay.
No, hi,
See?
sir.
Usually it's people who have watched like a few minutes and they go, oh yeah, I can understand what he's talking. I had the same vibe without paying attention. They sort of have it on in the background sometimes, and then they might have their own take. When it comes down to actually listening to what he's saying about politics or all these subquests or all these side characters, it's like, yeah, unless you know about the game or know about how storytelling works in video games, they're just going to go along with what he's saying. This happens all the time. It doesn't matter how clear you are, how good you are, whether you're a Mauler or whether you're, I don't know, pick any of the crazy guys we've covered. They don't care. They won't pay attention. So when you have people who are fans, you're like, no, it's never, like you guys were pointing out half the time, at least, all the mistakes he was talking about or how he was misconstruing scenes and what they actually meant, what actually happened. So
I think it's, but like what I was trying to say is I think it's only positive because it'll be his subscribers, because he hasn't got like the same ratio of subscribers to viewers pretty much. Like he's got like 9,000 subscribers, 7,000 viewers, so it's like,
sure. Yeah.
So he'll get most of his positive stuff because they're all his subscribers.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because these are all essays essentially, and they do have a critical eye. The problem is they don't come to some logical conclusion. They like some of those paragraphs he had, like I was listing the ideas and there was like 7 or 8 different ideas. And it's like, where are you going? And he just jumps to another topic at the end of the paragraph. You're like, okay. So he can't really say much about it.
Like I said, the only reason it didn't flow. The essay didn't flow into like a natural conclusion. It was just it just moved forward because he kept talking. Do you know what I mean? It was and then, that sort of style. And it just felt like halfway through he thought of something else and then just said what came into his head, and you're like, okay, what's that got to do with the previous sentence or the point you brought up?
Yeah, once we hit the 14-minute mark, that's where we just paused and listened to his definitions of all the postmodern stuff.
I know. Yet another.
And I was like, okay, we could keep going because I wanted to, like, I know I wanted to finish at 16, but we just kept going to like 20, 23 or something. Cause it was
21.
It was like, where is he going with this? I don't know. Let's find out. We just kept listening and listening. It was like, I'm not hearing anything. We're not going anywhere.
There's no actual conclusion to any of his points.
Well, when the topic is called modernisms, you're like, oh, that's going to be different. So,
no, that's what the fuck.
Yeah.
There seems to be a general theme with these sorts of things where it's they bamboozle you by starting on about 15 different points. They don't expand on any of those points. And that's why capitalism is bad.
Yeah, that is true. Like, no offense, but the pedantic violence beneath the surface is clearly he's heard a similar phrase, and he's just used words that he thinks are intelligent in a sentence, and doesn't mean anything. And then he keeps adding more stuff, and you're like, mate, just explain what you're doing. You're not impressing anybody.
I mean, pedantic violence, that would basically be me going to America, hunting down Ginger or Seraph, and punching them every time they say tomatoes wrong.
Yeah, or not pausing a video when he wants to talk.
Tomato.
Tomato.
But no, that was a terrible video.
Yeah, it was horrible. Actually, I really enjoyed it. It was so bad. I left my comment there. If you guys want to see if it exists, go right ahead. Check out his video. It's got. Let me see. It's got. Yeah, no, sorry, less than 5,000. I was just loaded it right now. I didn't know. Okay, well, thanks, guys. That was
5,000 views.
less than 5,000. Yeah. So that came out in June of this year. So yeah, pay it a visit, say hello, say whatever you thought about the video, be nice. That kind of. This is a guy we could actually. Like, I could talk to this kid, and we could have a decent conversation. Like, he doesn't sound crazy. He just has a weird ideology, which these people all share. But he doesn't sound like he'll start rambling on about Che Guevara and how he's great and whatever.
Felt like he was about to, though.
Maybe, but it was.
He does think that Joker is a socialist revolutionary.
I don't know, maybe, but we could actually have a conversation. I was not put off by this video, probably because we've covered so many like it. But this did not sound. This did not sound crazy. It just sounded bad. Like he didn't know what he was talking about.
Like I say, it sounds like someone had a political thing he wanted to say, and he's added on the skin suit of Arkham Asylum. But he wasn't as insane as, say, like a Renegade Cut or a Maggie May Fish or a Tabernacle. You know what I mean? There's probably still hope, but
and becoming a.
I'm guessing this guy is like you say, either first year in uni or he's fresh out of uni, and he thinks he knows everything.
And he wasn't around when Jack Thompson was around, or when he was making his arguments about violence in video games and how this has anything to do with healthcare or the real world, or kids are growing up thinking this is how no one has ever had these thoughts to think that this is something you talk to your parents about.
But it's like I was 15 when this game came out. I didn't think of anything what he's like projecting. Yeah. I'm like, no, that's not what we. No one thought this. Everyone just was like, oh my god, it's amazing. A Batman game was actually cool.
Yeah, it felt like the only thing I didn't like about the games was Batman was built like. What was the three versions of Batman that Bats did one time, based off the writers? It was like the tank. It was like the Frank Miller version, but he was just like this big burly tank.
It was based on the Jim Lee Batman.
Oh, it was based off Jim Lee? Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, or at least the initial concept art for Arkham Asylum Batman was inspired by Jim Lee's art of the character.
He's way too big and burly, and if he was just a bit more acrobatic, because you move so quickly, and you could play the game with basically one hand sometimes, because it's so responsive to your movements. I wish
there's more to it than that.
Oh, I know, but in terms of getting by, you could play it very quickly. So I wanted just that sort of style, because he's just this 6'2" tank, and he's doing all these acrobatics like he's a gymnast, martial artist master, and you're like, okay, some of that's real. I like that, with Batman being a really cool, powerful dude, but he's just like a bodybuilder dude. And you're like, okay, that's too much. I think that's a bit too much for my Batman. I want to.
Dark Knight Returns is still worse, though.
I know. Yeah, he's an old grumpy old.
To the point where they literally even put in a skin in Arkham City for the Dark Knight Returns Batman, and that's basically what you're complaining about.
Yeah, I found your comment, Smud, and 40 different timestamps you comment on.
Yeah. There's a big jump between the 14-minute mark and the 22-minute mark. It's like this big nothing. We're just like, what? What are we listening to?
Oh boy.
But that was because of you guys, because I didn't know the lore as much as you do. So thanks, guys, for all that feedback. I do appreciate it. This was 2 days worth of effort. So tap yourselves in the back. Thanks for a lot of time. And have yourself a good Saturday. Take it easy.
And even after 15 years, this game is still one of the greatest games of all time.
Now.
If you haven't played this game, in 15 years, what are you doing? If you're a Batman fan, you're gonna love it. Go out and play it.
That's a good point. So have a great time. Check what is it, like $15 on Steam nowadays?
I think 20 at this point.
Yeah, probably.
Or it's not just Asylum. Normal price, so.
You could buy maybe.
I think I've still got my original copy of it somewhere in the house.
Yeah, but have
yourself the good stuff out.
With that said, have yourself a wonderful Saturday. If you haven't played this game and you're a Batman fan, go play it.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks guys for listening. We'll talk to you soon. Have a great evening. Good night.